Welcome to Pepper Shock Media's Marketing Expedition podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in marketing and advertising. Now here's your host, Rhea Allen.
I'm Rhea Allen, President and CEO of Pepper Shock Media, also a Chief Marketing Officer for Hire. And this is the Marketing Expedition series, and we're going to go on a marketing expedition today. I am here with Joe Mikitish, and he's got a couple of businesses. We'll talk about that. And I first want to say, Joe, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, now tell us, give us a little bit of history of who you are, and then go into the business that you do, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the new business you have. But give us a history.
History, okay. So I started my career doing technology, worked for big technology companies. You name top 5 technology companies. I probably worked for them all at one point. And about 2003, I decided I didn't want to work in the big technology space anymore, and started exploring starting a company.
So this is almost 15 years ago. We started in 2003 too. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so we actually went official in 2015. Okay. Or 2015, not 2015, 2005.
Oh, got it.
And so 2005, I split off from HP and started a company doing cloud computing for-profit businesses. And about 2008, we decided to kind of make a little switch and try some nonprofits. Worked with a Boys and Girls Club, and we really, really liked it. And, that's been really a primary focus for us in that business is small nonprofits. And, we started working with you on analyzing what we were doing for marketing, and it made us switch to almost completely nonprofits and working with what are called managed service providers, IT providers that are out in the marketplace helping businesses. So,
and that's Sen Technologies.
Sen Technologies is the name of that company.
S-E-N.
Yes.
You have to say it right.
S-E-N, yes, Sen Technologies. So that company's been growing strong and growing great. About 3 years ago, we ran into a bit of a sales hitch. So just weren't selling enough. We thought, there's 1.2 million nonprofits in this country. Most of them need IT help. We weren't getting in front of enough of them. And so that was really our focus was, how do we get in front of more of them? So from that, we spun off and started a sales company. And that company is called Kerdos. Kerdos. So, and that's been growing strong. So now we not only sell for my cloud computing company, but for all kinds of different companies, including yours.
All right. And we started, we did the marketing needs assessment several years ago. And then as a result of that, that's where you saw the focus of what you wanted to do. Right. Because we kind of created a blueprint or the foundation of the brand of what could be, what could come, and the result of everything that you were doing, looking at all of the marketing efforts that you had taken and what we wanted to start, keep doing, and then it really kind of created this opportunity, and you even pivoted and started a whole other company as a result, right? Exactly.
Yeah. So we did the marketing needs assessment, and really we've just been throwing money at marketing. I think this is a small business thing. We just go, well, we have to do marketing, so let's just figure out what our marketing budget is and then divide it up between a bunch of marketing things and
see what sticks and what doesn't,
see what sticks, and really nothing stuck. And so, mainly because we just would blow through our budget and then not stick with anything long enough, or, it wasn't right for who we were targeting. We just didn't know. We just knew we had to do some marketing, and we were mostly a company of IT people and salespeople. So we didn't have any professional marketing people. So when we engaged with you, we really determined that we were a technology company. We need to focus on doing technology, but we had a whole big sales team. And really, we had more salespeople than we had technical people trying to fix our sales problem. We just kept hiring more salespeople. But there's a sales guy math problem, right? If you have a salesperson and they sell two businesses per month, you think that hiring a second salesperson means that you're going to sell 4 businesses per month. But what that actually means is now you're only selling 2 businesses per month, but now each one's selling 1. So that's just the way it happens. So we didn't really understand that, and the marketing needs assessment allowed us to go, who are we? What are we trying to accomplish? Who is our primary market? What's our identity as a company, so that we could then market that better? And that led us to saying, well, we're not a sales organization.
Right.
We're a technology company. Let's create another company that is a sales organization and outsource our sales to that.
And as a result, Kerdos has been going strong now for about a year?
Yeah, so we hired the first people for Kerdos I don't know, 2.5 years ago. And then we started taking on other clients last January.
Okay.
So,
and tell me, how has it been going so far?
Amazing. Yeah.
Well, give me some success stories. What's happened?
Success stories, I would say, our biggest success story is my own company. We went from having, 6 to 7, 8 salespeople at one time and really not selling enough. And then we hired 2 people on the Kerdos side, and those 2 people were outselling that whole sales team within 3 months. So It was pretty incredible.
Right.
So huge success. And then, we work a lot in the technology space. So, software as a service companies are really, really good for us. So we work with a software as a service company, and they have a strong marketing focus. And they were getting 70 leads inbound per month through their marketing efforts, which is pretty good for the type of software that they have. But they were only engaging with 5 to 6 of them. And so we were able to come in, engage with all of the ones they're currently getting and all the ones that they've kind of let languish. Right. And we would turn those into business.
And Kerdos doesn't do just cold calling. I mean, give us the whole process. What does Kerdos do now?
Sure. So, the first thing we do is we take all of the leads and contacts that a company has gotten over time. So, a new customer, we typically ask them for contacts that they have. So that could be in Excel spreadsheets or in their Outlook or,
here's some business cards.
Yeah, stacks of business. Yeah, I always tell this story. Somebody came to me and they said, "Hey, we want you to work with us." And I'm like, "Well, what have you been doing?" And they said, "Well, we go to these trade shows all the time, sometimes 2 or 3 of them a month." I'm like, "Oh, great. How are you following up on those leads?" They're like, "Well, we take the 1 or 2 at the trade show that we're really interested in. We follow up with those and we don't do anything with the rest." And so, if you do the math, let's just say they, simple math, they get 200,
right.
And it costs them $10,000 total to go to the trade show. Very expensive leads that they're doing nothing with.
Right.
And so she handed me an Ariat boot box. I don't know if you know Ariat, but not to do product placement, but it's like this big and it's just full of stacks of like 300 to 400 business cards rubber banded together.
Oh my gosh. But that's like, amazing.
As a business owner, I almost had a heart attack. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Wow.
So we, that's one thing we do is we'll help engage with those contacts too. So
follow-up is key. Absolutely.
Yep. So we do everything from building a CRM, well, usually on the HubSpot platform, and then we'll take all of the leads and contacts and everything that they're working on or not working and put them all in there, and we'll backfill those with a lot of prospecting on our own. So we use a lot of different tools out there to gain new prospects based upon the requirements from the client.
Right.
And then we come up with a phased approach to contacting people. So we kind of go old school and do an introductory email or letter to the prospect, and then we call them and develop a relationship and build trust and relationship with the brand until the prospect is ready to sign.
And then you're going to take them all the way through signing, essentially.
Exactly.
I mean, they're developing the relationship, and they can act as you. So it's kind of like white labeled as if it's a salesperson that works for the company, and it's pretty seamless, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's we're really a culture-driven company. So we, if you read like Tony Hsieh's, Delivering Happiness, we base our culture on that. We teach the culture, we hire from culture, primarily, and then you don't have to really manage people, and process becomes a lot easier when people are reading the same books and thinking about the same stuff. And so we build our processes around that culture. So when we come into our clients, sometimes we run into businesses that are not a good culture fit for us, but to be a client. But most of them, they want to be that way. So we'll bring our culture, and then delivering wow through service is our number one. Excellent. And so when we're talking to prospects on our client's behalf, we're delivering that to them, and so it just builds a relationship much faster.
So tell me a little bit more about the culture of your company. What's the ideal setting, and how can you work with the people? Because you have different places that people work all over, right? So how do you make that the culture of your company? Right.
So everybody works from home, but we get together every week for a video conference and once a month in person. And so far the company's small enough we can go meet in my living room, which is great. And I get up there with a whiteboard and we talk about culture, So the way that we ingrained it is kind of interesting. So when we hire people, we don't hire them for their talents or skills. necessarily. Obviously, they have to be kind of well-spoken and well-written, but, most of them have, college experience, communications degrees, that kind of thing. And have they can write a sentence and put a period at the end properly, which is, good grammar is important. But, we do those interviews just to make sure that, we're not going to run into a problem there. But then 2 of our team members, they do a culture interview with our new people. So there's each one of our 10 core values has 2 questions assigned to it, and we're asking those questions. Not necessarily a right or wrong answer, but to get a feel for if that person's going to be a good culture fit for us.
Good.
And that's the most important part of the interview is if they come in, we can teach them processes. We prefer people with no sales experience before.
Okay.
So we don't have to break their bad habits. So, they learn our way of doing things. But the culture we can't teach. We can't go back in time and from the time somebody's 2 or 3 or 4 years old, teach them how, to integrate with us. So they're either a fit or they're not. And then the first day that they're on the job, they're getting trained by our people to learn our culture. So turn your phone off, put on Do Not Disturb, and we're going to train you on our culture. Whiteboard, here's our 10 core values, here's your notebook, and, we're going to teach you that. And every day I see our people, we use a product called GroupMe, which is kind of like Slack, where we're messaging back and forth, and our employees are messaging each other stories about things that happened that day and how they used one of the 10 core values in that situation.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we talk a lot about your culture and brand and how happy employees can create a better brand, and then a better brand means happy clients, all of those types of things. So it's really a key item. So let's talk a little bit about because we know sales and marketing go together, and it's all about building that brand. How can a company who has never really hired a sales team before, really your sales team, how would they kind of treat this as something that they've never done before? What kind of objections have you had before that you've overcome? What does it mean if people do hire you and incorporate your team into their company?
Yeah, so I think the primary objection we get in the sales process is usually that they can go hire somebody cheaper, which is totally true. They can go hire somebody for less money.
Sometimes you get what you pay for, right?
But then they have to manage that person. They don't have a training program to teach them how to do sales. They have to make sure that they're using the CRM and they're following up with people enough. They've never built a sales process before. Gotcha. Me as a small business owner, I have an engineering background. So what do I know about sales, what I've learned from books and those kind of things. But hiring somebody who understands and knows how to build sales process was the key to starting our sales company.
Engineering the sales process.
Engineering the sales process, exactly. So most small business owners, they go, if I just go hire an outside salesperson or inside salesperson, that's going to fix all of my problems. And what they find usually, and this is the tale of woe, they hire a salesperson, and then they're, within a year, they're frustrated. There's not proper expectations. They don't know how to communicate well with the salesperson. They don't know how to set, they think, if I give them base plus commission, that's going to incentivize them. Right. So, overcoming those objections, I use lots of stories. I'm a storyteller. So I like to say, tell them stories of my own experience with salespeople and my experience that I listen to small business owners all the time. And they have the same problems with sales. They go hire salespeople. We've had salespeople,
and it's true. If they aren't making sales right away, then they get frustrated. And we know that sales takes time to build those relationships, and you have to work at it. It's work, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so, average right now is 13 touches to get somebody off of your board, right? So, a yes is good. A no is equally as good because at least you're moving them through the system and, on and off of the system. So,
well, and just because it's a no now doesn't mean it wouldn't be a no.
Exactly.
Next month or a year from now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But because small business owners don't have patience and salespeople feel that pressure to sell faster, they just never get to that 13th, 14th, 15th touch.
Right.
So
persistency, right? Without being annoying.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a fine balance.
Yeah.
And so it's a big problem with sales and small business owners. There's just a conflict there, and they're not really made to work together. You have an entrepreneur, or, somebody who's not an entrepreneur. Maybe they're a technician that started a business. Hey, I'm a good CPA, so I'm gonna go start my own CPA company. what they're not good at is selling.
Right.
And they're definitely not good at hiring a salesperson, knowing what a good salesperson looks like, and then hiring them and getting them to motivated to do sales for them.
Right.
They're just not good at that.
Yeah.
They're good at being a CPA, right? And just like I was good at being an engineer. I'm not, I never could figure out, why aren't these sales guys just selling these? We have such good products.
Yeah.
And
and it's true too that sometimes business owners can sell their business much more than salespeople, and so to translate that into other people sometimes is really a hard thing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like the E-Myth. You've read that book. Technicians start businesses, and that's why businesses fail so much. Because not only are we good at whatever we're good technically at, and I made the same mistake. Right. I started a technology company because I'm good at technology, and then I'm good at sales because I'm passionate about the technology, and so people would just buy from me because I'm passionate.
Yeah.
And
because we're the business owners, we're not the salespeople trying to sell them. We're passionate about what we do. I mean, I totally get that cycle.
And I never could figure out how to, instill that passion enough in salespeople to get them sell as well as I could.
Yeah.
And so who ends up, selling?
Right.
I do.
Yep.
And it just never got me out of it. And then, so for us, that process of bringing somebody in, like you said, bringing our culture into a business, when we talk to a small business owner, they go, well, it's going to take me 6 weeks or 2 months to train your salespeople to sell our stuff. Like that's why you're failing at sales, because now your salespeople you're turning them into a technician. They don't need to know how, if I turn this knob, it does this. All they need to know is what the end result is, enough to sell the product. And so what we gather from our clients is enough information for us to sell. Good. And we're very, very efficient at that.
Right. And you just start with kind of the one thing instead of doing many, many things, right? I mean, and let's talk a little bit about that. Why is it so much easier to sell just the one thing rather than the whole slew of everything that you have to offer?
Well, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to the salesperson. And if it's overwhelming to the salesperson who's selling, it's definitely overwhelming to the prospect.
Right.
And so what we want to do is find the one thing that we can sell very quickly, has a high profit margin, and
get really good at it.
Get really good at it, and it has the ability for our client to turn the customer into buying other things.
Right.
So we try and find that one thing. Most small businesses, the list of things they do reads like an all-you-can-eat sushi menu. It's like unlimited front and back, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed, I can never eat all this. I'm going to try though. So what we try and do is find the one thing that they're really good at. If you go to a sushi place and it's named Kim's Sushi, I like to go on the menu and find things that say Kim's next to it because that's their specialty dishes.
Specialty,
and it's almost the same thing with small businesses. We try and find what they're good at, what they really want us to sell, but they may not even know it yet. And that's the one thing that we go after. Right. Even my own cloud business, we have this all-you-can-eat sushi menu, but our salespeople only sell one thing, and then once they're in the door, then the customer goes, "Oh, can you do this?" Yes, we can.
Yeah, and then
then we upsell.
Have the opportunity to grow those sales and have some organic growth in the client that you've gained, but at least now they've had a step in the door, at least a little foot in the door to get there, right? That's good. Good. Yeah. So have you, you've mentioned before that some of these clients that you've taken on, the volume of what you've done for them, and they almost have to kind of turn it off a little bit, right? Tell me about that kind of success story, because that excites me a little bit.
Yeah. So, that's why we only do half-time people now. So when we started out, we made mistakes, and we all do. Yeah, we were like, hey, you need a full-time person. So we brought a full-time person in there because they'd have 3 or 4 salespeople. So I'd think, hey, a full-time person is appropriate here. But the volume that we would bring by like the 3rd or 4th month would be overwhelming to the small business. So now we've gotten better about asking questions during the process. Yeah. So you bring on 2 clients a month now. What if that was 10? And sometimes small business owners, I see their eyes get a little shifty and they go,
that's a lot to handle.
I don't know if I can handle that many. Yeah. And so, my own cloud company.
But a good problem to have, right? I mean, hey, if you've just suddenly, on average sell 2 per month, but now you have 10, what does that mean? I mean, there's all kinds of opportunity there. Yeah. But
Well, with Sen Technologies, we had the same problem, right? Stuff that used to take us 2 weeks now takes 2 hours because we had to improve our processes. It didn't happen overnight. It happened over a course of years. But, we really focused on on, hey, if we're going to onboard, we're onboarding 2, now we're doing 10, in a week. What would that do? And our engineering team was like, whoa, we can't handle that.
Right.
Well, we need to figure that out.
Yeah.
And so, we broke ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And then we had to learn.
And then fix it.
Fix it and make it better.
And make it better. Different iterations, right?
But it's interesting when small business owners really fix that stuff, then it opens the doors for a lot more opportunity because their mind is now, hey, we used to only be able to do 2, now we can do 10.
Yeah.
Well, what's 100?
Right.
So.
What does that look like? And how many more support staff do we need to to make that happen?
Right. They're not as bogged down by the minutia.
Right.
So,
right. So the topic of this webinar really is going to be about the marketing needs assessment. So I want to just touch a little bit more about that process that you went through. What would you suggest to others if other people were wanting to do the marketing needs assessment as well?
Sure.
What was your big takeaway? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? What were some things? And I know it was a little while ago that you did it, but I just wanted to bring you in because I thought it was such a success story in what we did working with you and how you had that pivot in your entire business, right?
Right.
But what would you say to others if they were wanting to do the same process?
Yeah, and I've recommended other business owners to do it. I think that the big thing is that we as small business owners spend a lot of money on marketing, and we may not even realize it, but it's not just money, but time. We go to networking events, we go to all these different things, and we do all this stuff because we think we have to.
Right.
And what's not realized sometimes is there's more efficient ways to do things because we're just so busy.
And is it getting a return on the time investment or the talent or the treasure, time, talent, and treasure?
Yep.
Are you getting an ROI on what it is that you're investing your time in? Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so, it's the same thing for us. We were spending all this time, going to local, networking events and local, business after hours and stuff like that, which is fun and it's a great, experience, but it wasn't turning into business. And we realized, with the marketing needs assessment that we did, we really looked at how much time we were spending and how much dollars we were spending on stuff that just wasn't helping us reach our goals. And we first wrote down, what are we trying to do here? Are we trying to be a local cloud company only servicing people in Boise, or are we trying to service nonprofits all over the United States? Yeah. And if it's all over the United States, why are we spending any time and effort going to local networking groups? And so, I looked at my own time. Let's just say I worked 40 hours a week, which is a little on the light side.
Right, right.
I'll tell people, I work 40 hours a week, right? So, but in a given week, I'd spend 5, 6, 7 hours either driving to or at networking events. Well, that's a whole day out of my week that I was spending on local networking, which would maybe gain us 1 or 2 clients a month.
Right.
And it just wasn't enough.
Because you had the FaceTime, there was a relationship, but you're right, it does take time to develop that, and maybe there could be other ways.
Right, and those relationships are great, and they've led into other opportunities for me, but not opportunities for Sen. They were opportunities for other things that have come along since. But Sen, we really changed our focus to, hey, we went to this one Boys and Girls Club event, and we got all these leads, and we worked on that for like 3 months, and that was the greatest, $5,000 we ever spent. And they have 7 of those. Why don't we spend all of our money on that? And so we did that for the first year after we did the needs assessment, and it exploded. The nonprofit community as a whole just exploded for us.
Because people will accelerate that word of mouth to other people. If you do something for this nonprofit, then now suddenly you will be doing it for others if you do a good job and continue to service them and do what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that really, more than anything, helped us refocus, what we were doing. Our website was ambiguous. It had the all-you-can-eat sushi menu on it. And people go to our website, and we were like, our website's awesome, but people, I think every small business owner, most of them are honest. Most of them are honest, but we were not honest with ourselves, and we were like, hey, this is great, and we got the from your team, your website's totally confusing. The people go there and they don't even know what you do, and so we refocused that. As it is now, it's focused on what we do, and every marketing piece that we put out this is what we do, this is who we are. It's very focused.
Good.
Not that we and we don't have to blast out to everybody. We're not trying to be everything to everybody.
Good.
Like we were before.
Right. You're focusing your efforts and your messaging into the right people. That's good. And it's grown. And now you have a whole support team and sales team to help make that continue to grow.
Right.
Yeah. Good. Good. So any words of wisdom that you would like to share to people who are trying to build their brand and their bottom line?
Their brand and their bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, read a lot of books.
Right?
And, find help
Yeah.
that is qualified to help you.
Good.
I think that's been the one thing when people ask me what's led to your success, proper mentors, proper vendors that are actually experts in their area, and not being afraid to outsource stuff, that you're not good, that's not actually a revenue driver for your company.
Okay. So how do people find you?
LinkedIn is the best way to find me. Joe Mikitish.
Okay. And if they want to learn more about Kerdos, do they go to kerdos.com?
Yeah, KerdosStudio.com
go.
is the website, but I have a lot of information on LinkedIn as well.
Okay.
So I try and publish the occasional article and that kind of thing out there. So.
Fantastic. LinkedIn's really exploding too. Now we can do video on LinkedIn and
Yeah, it's beautiful.
all kinds of fun stuff. But
Yeah, I spend all my social media time is spent on LinkedIn if I can help it.
Yeah,
So.
very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast and our webinar series. You can go to peppershock.com on the resources tab. There's all kinds of information there. We've got upcoming events. There's a workshop. There's a culture and brand camp coming up. So be sure and check out the site for all the different events and podcasts and all of the resources that we have to offer. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Expedition podcast. Find more online at peppershock.com.